Hey there, folks. It's the E-Man here. In this video, I want to talk about my opinions of the let's see the Star Trek Starfleet Academy series done by Alex Kirksman, and it is from what I've seen, it's terrible. It's just more of the same kind of slop that we've been getting for a while. I don't. Actually, one movie didn't do well. That was supposed to be a series. Then Strange New Worlds has fallen off a cliff. You know, I like some of the episodes of Strange New Worlds, but I don't know. Seems they want to milk the original Star Trek series for everything it's worth, and yeah. But yeah, show is just bad. I mean, it could be called anything else; it would still be bad. I think the writing is terrible. It's for a modern audience that doesn't exist. But one of the biggest things that really ticks me off is when they try to come after people and say, "Oh, well, you're not a fan because you don't know what you're talking about." It's like I am a fan of Star Trek, and I can tell you that that the Star Trek Starfleet Academy it is a complete disgrace for it to even be called Star Trek. It's completely ridiculous, especially when we have even actors from it like coming out and saying Star Trek was always woke. It's like no, it wasn't. I think Star Trek was like way beyond anything. It's supposed to be in the future, the idealistic future, where we don't have all these petty arguments. Everyone's accepted. I mean, I think there are some issues that were never really addressed in Star Trek because they weren't issues existing at that time. But someone trying to tell me that Gene Roddenberry would be happy with what they're doing with Star Trek, it's like, no, he wouldn't be at all. Yeah. Because I grew up watching Star Trek, so I know what Star Trek is. I'm not a super fan of Star Trek, but I'm a fan of Star Trek. As I've said many times, I have very strong feelings about Star Trek, so it is always annoying when someone tries to say, "Oh, you're not a fan. You don't know what you're talking about." All of these, yeah. And I saw Neurotic. I don't know if any of you guys watch him, but he's an action figure of Spock in a chair and got more views than the first two episodes got. And it's like, and I've seen him. Sometimes he is rather divisive in what he says, but in that, I think it was relatively tame. Relatively tame. It's just a Spock action figure sitting on his chair, and everyone's like freaking out about it. It's like, well, if they put so much time on these, actually name these guys out all the time, it just makes them more popular. But I feel like a lot of people, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, who keeps signing the checks for these shows that nobody watches? It's like I don't know. I'm afraid the whole movie industry is going to be bankrupt. It's like I don't know. But there have been some bright points. Yeah, I know I just want to do my Star Trek, Starfleet Academy opinions, but I think it was some. I just want to talk about some. Yeah, I guess right now I just want to talk about some recent developments in the entertainment industry or movies. I guess I've seen the trailers mostly on June 5th, I think. June 4th or 5th. We're supposed to get a Masters of the Universe live action movie, and I saw it. Looks great. I don't know if I like the idea of Jared Leto is supposed to be Skeletor. I don't really know. We see Skeletor, but we don't hear him speak. So I don't know. It's a more interesting take on it. It looks really cool. At least for now. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, we don't have any weird people doing it. It doesn't look woke to me at all. So that's good. Yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. So we'll see. Maybe there's some magical hope that we can get out of this rut of all these shows and movies. They're just crap. It's just continuous crap. I've heard the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the HBO Max show, kind of like a Game of Thrones spin-off story. I think it was originally called The Hedge Knight, but I guess I thought the Night of the Seven Kingdoms sounds better. He's kind of a man that was knighted by some lord that supposedly died, and it's like, yeah, so it's always like people think maybe you're a knight, maybe you're not really a knight, you know. It's like, but I heard that's good, so a positive, like two major positives. But I heard there's a lot of other movies that are getting lined up for that time. So at first I thought, is this fake? Yeah, because we see a lot of weird trailers of movies like this, but no, it looked real to me. I was rather impressed with it, but it's only the first trailer. I mean, we've got a while before it comes out, so we're probably going to see another trailer. Okay, let's go back to Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I'll talk about a few things that people have said about it. Yeah, the use of them wearing glasses. Yeah, I remember from one of the Star Treks, Bones, Dr. McCoy, and Kirk are talking about, talk about why don't you use some special type of drug so you don't have to wear glasses. And Captain Kirk is like, I'm allergic to that particular drug. So Captain Kirk had to wear glasses because he couldn't take the drug to make his eyes better in the future. So there's that. Yeah, and I know a lot of people talk about there's people that seem to have disabilities. Why are those disabilities not taken care of? It's like, well, from a standpoint of today, there's a lot of people who are deaf or blind or whatnot, and they may want to keep their disability. They may not want to get rid of their disability. Sometimes there's deaf people that don't want to have hearing aids and don't want to have the stuff done. But yeah, I thought a lot of things like being paralyzed or whatnot would probably be kind of taken care of in the future. Yeah, I mean, perhaps. Or perhaps Star Trek didn't want to focus too much on that. Well, usually Star Trek, like the idea is it's in the future, medical technology is so advanced, a lot of times they just like zoom, run a scanner over you and you're cured. Which means that maybe a lot of stuff in Star Trek, maybe a lot of the medical stuff isn't really explained very well. It's like, psst, yeah, it's like psst, hyper spray real quick and it's all better. I remember they don't fully explain it, but there was yeah, I just remember that from earlier canon done by Gene Roddenberry. So there was a concept that, that, yeah, there is a special drug that people can take in the future so they don't have to use glasses, but some people are allergic to it. Yeah, a lot of concept is a lot of the people seem kind of, a lot of the characters seem fat. And yeah, in Star Trek, they have replicators. They can find the best nutrition possible. Well, and people have a wide access to a wide range of foods too, using the replicator. Do they use replicators in the Discovery just this timeline? Because I know that because they had the big burn, so I don't know if replicators even exist at that time. All right, now there was another thing too. There was oh yes, there is a female Jem'Hadar, which she's technically half Klingon, and a lot of people were like, how can the Jem'Hadar reproduce, and how is there a female one? I'm assuming that probably at the end of the Dominion War, maybe the founders with under Odo's direction. Yeah, because since Odo joined the Great Link, then hopefully he would have a thought to make maybe to allow the Jem'Hadar to finally be free. Like they can finally maybe him and the other changelings developed some technology and they were able to allow the Jem'Hadar to be male or female, or perhaps they had to mix Klingon DNA and Jem'Hadar DNA, to create. Well, maybe that's what the Jem'Hadar exist as now. Is maybe all Jem'Hadar are part Klingon now because that was part of the genetics or the genome. I mean, they were artificially created, but remember that the changelings, or the founders as they're called, they knew quite a good of genetic technology, so they probably were able to do that. Another thing I think is a trailer. I think there was not really a trailer, but the episode. I think there was that race from the original Star Trek. One of their one side of their face was white, one side was black. You see, there was that episode. At the end of the episode, there's two males of that race. They discover that all their people basically annihilated each other. Yeah, because some people have, the white and black on different sides of their face. It was in original Star Trek. It was a reference to, of course, a racial understanding. So that they were wiped out. So it was their race was existing to prove a point. So basically, their race is extinct. So why do we seem to keep seeing them everywhere when they're supposed to be extinct? They equally annihilated each other. Well, perhaps maybe they think that that's not appropriate, or they think that maybe they don't really understand what the white and the dark, one black, one white side, they didn't quite get what that was referencing, perhaps. So it's like misinterpreting Star Trek. We're just trying to get us Easter eggs that don't make any sense. I don't. They're using the trailer. They're using voices of other characters from Star Trek series are actually good. It's like, no, I don't. I don't really like that. Like, what is it? Have permission before doing stuff like that? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues. Maybe the plot line is a little bit for this series a little bit weird. I would rather there was a Starfleet Academy in it. Well, maybe not. I don't. For what they're doing, I would rather someone else do it. Let's not give them any more ideas about what they might try to do. But I would love a Starfleet Academy series that takes place like maybe at the beginning of the Federation. I'd love to see more about how the Federation came to be. Maybe we go to Jonathan Archer's era and see the Starfleet Academy in that era when when Starfleet is kind of in its infancy and being created. I'd love to see stuff like that. Why do we need to keep going to the original series? I'd love to go to Jonathan Archer's time. Yeah, go to Jonathan Archer's time and see Starfleet Academy. And other aspects. There's other eras of Star Trek that we could be going to. I mean, there's a lot of storylines that could be done in other eras of Star Trek, like right after the Dominion War. I mean, maybe we could do more with the Founders or more with. We'd love to go back to like the Deep Space Nine kind of stuff, like what's going on with the Changelings, what's going on with Odo and stuff, because of what was going on in Picard season 3 or whatever. Like, it would have been nice if there was some more references to that or some explanation in what happened to them. Because I know that the changes in the Founders, because of Odo, they were able to reconcile their differences with the Federation and then trust them. But then it would be nice to see what's going on with that. Did the Federation actually trust them? Did the Federation actually help them? Yeah, or did a lot of technology get developed because of peace between the Dominion and the Federation, which I don't know if there was truly peace. So there was probably a lot of stuff that happened with the Jem'Hadar before they. Like I said, my theory is probably the Jem'Hadar don't technically really exist anymore. Like the only Jem'Hadar that exist are part Jem'Hadar and part Klingon. That might have been because Jem'Hadar and Klingon had close physical you know, physical genetics, I guess. So maybe Klingon DNA and Jem'Hadar DNA could work, so they were able to create hybrids, you know, Jem'Hadar slash Klingon hybrids, and that's how they are. All of the Jem'Hadar now existing in this time period are all part Klingon because of some genetic makeup thing. I mean, the founders were really great. Like I said, they were really great with with biological enhancements and stuff. So they could probably have figured out how to make the Jem'Hadar be able to become their own race because they were just kind of genetically created to be warriors. So, and they were all male, so they didn't quite have an idea that they were supposed to exist beyond their needs. Of course, we have the holographic doctor. Is his name Robert Picardo or something? Yeah, the holographic doctor that's supposed to be the one from Voyager, and he's what 8 centuries old at this point. Yeah, I mean, I always liked him as an actor, but some of the stuff he has said, I mean, he has referenced saying that Star Trek has always been woke, and I don't think that's true. And he's mad about people's feelings. It's like, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Such as I see some of these series, and I feel like some of the actors from a lot of these Star Trek shows have, you know, rose-colored glasses. Like maybe they don't really understand what they're doing. Like Picard season 1 or season 2, it's like I don't know. The original actors seem to like it and stuff, but then I'm like, it's really not all that good. Picard season 3 was great. See the Enterprise D again, everyone reuniting. It was kind of cool. Well, the one thing was I noticed that Worf kind of avoided Data like the plague in it. Oh yeah, because remember that Klingons have a certain belief about life and death. So yeah, so Data being resurrected was probably kind of weird for Worf. So he kind of stays away from Data. So that was a little bit odd. I don't know. Well, remember then Worf's like fiance was just Dia Dax, and then she came back as another Dax. And he seemed to be okay with that. So I don't know why he's not okay with Data being back, but that's weird. Yeah, sorry, spoilers, but whatever. It was okay. I remember when they had Brent Spinner come back as Data in Picard season 1, and his face just looked like it was inflated or something. It was like the weird CGI they did to his face or something. Yeah, a lot of these actors are older, so it's kind of hard to do that. But yeah, the biggest thing with Star Trek, Starfleet Academy is it's just yeah, it's it looks like a teenage drama. It's not Star Trek really at all. And what's with the weird Klingon who's not a warrior, not this, not that? It's like I don't quite understand that. It's just kind of crazy. I mean, I got nothing against people like if people gonna like this show, then like it. But it is, I'm not trying to insult the people who made it, but this is really is a terrible. I mean, this is terrible. I thought this was going to be canceled. I thought there was going to be one season of this and it was going to be canceled. But supposedly there's a rumor of 2 seasons, and supposedly the second season's already been done. I guess they like Alex Kurtzman because he seems to be able to put out all this work. Like, he can get these shows and things pumped out like nobody's business, but is the quality of them up to snuff? Like, no. I really don't think so. And I realize that there's a lot of the great writers of Star Trek, they're gone. Like, one of the major ones, he's gone. He's been gone for a while. So it just kind of stinks. It's like, we need to spend these budgets on writers. Where are the writers? Like, come on. They don't need all these stupid member berries to keep us entertained. They just did something that was interesting. I felt like Discovery, they really were trying. The final season, it's like, we're really going to try to appeal to the fans of Star Trek. I mean, it is too little, too late. And it's the way it always seems to be. Too little, too late. I didn't hate Discovery, but I just don't know. It just seemed like it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse. So it like falls off a cliff, and then of course we're not supposedly the real fans. We don't really get it. I can tell you, I get it. I've seen a lot of these shows when they first came on, like Deep Space Nine, as I've said, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. Yeah, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. Those are the two major ones that I actually saw. Next Generation was the first I saw, but I don't think I ever really saw. Well, no, I guess maybe I was there for the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. I remember when those from like day one, pretty much. Yeah, and of course, the first season of the it's always a little bit weird, but I really liked Deep Space Nine. The first season of Deep Space Nine was great. The first season, Next Generation, takes a little bit. Picard's kind of a butthead, but he gets better after after a while. Yeah, just everything they could do with Star Trek right now, they're just not doing it. It's just the wrong people, and I always think, what isn't there some kind of like legal thing with some of these franchises that limits them to how much they can change? Maybe there's franchises and they need to have rules like certain people cannot like completely turn everything upside down or gender or race swap people because it's not going to make any sense, or just a concept that you can't. There's limits to what you creatively can do to a franchise. Like, yeah, it just boggles the mind why they do that. Those are people should think like, should they do it or not? And I think a lot of times the answer is no. You shouldn't be doing it. I don't know if any of you are like up to date with like there was talk about a reboot of Babylon 5 or some kind of continuation or something, and then the creator was like, he was like, no, I don't really want to do a remake because it just wouldn't be appropriate, or it wouldn't be respectful to the original cast members, because a lot of cast members of Babylon 5 um, have passed away. A lot of actors on Babylon 5 have passed away. So yeah, so I guess we're just gonna get some animated movies of Babylon 5, and then that might be it. And I'm like, I'm perfectly okay with that because I was glad. It was like, just he seems like the kind of creator of Babylon 5. Just he was gonna bring back Babylon 5 not just for money and whatever. He actually wanted to try to do it, and he was like, no, I don't think I can do it again. I can't really do a reboot. It would be disrespectful, having to, redo all the characters. And I think it's sad. I would have loved to have seen a Babylon 5 thing. Maybe there could be other Babylon 5 stories, other spin offs of Babylon 5 that don't have to reference those particular characters. Well, like many things, maybe they could go into the past. We can go into different time periods in Babylon 5. Maybe time periods that explain how, EarthGov and all that stuff came to be. And, well, I mean, maybe there could be Babylon 5 stories, and we go to, like, see what the different races of Babylon 5 and see their origins or stuff like that, prequels or whatever. But whatever, I remember watching the Babylon 5 animated movie, and it was cool. Yeah, it was cool, but, I'm glad because I just think a reboot of Babylon 5 just wouldn't have been good. So that's an example of when, someone's like, kind of says, puts their hands up and says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Even though they knew that the career path, I knew he was like making some decent money, probably people would have liked it, but I guess he figured it wasn't really worth trying to alienate the fan base, which I don't understand why they don't care about alienating the fan base of Star Trek. If Alex Kirkman put up his hands and say, no, I'm not going to do it because I know it's not going to be very good? No. A lot of times I think a lot of people that want to change a franchise to some craziness need to really think about that. When you want to use an existing fan base, you have to deal with the backlash. You can't start calling them bigots and everything just because they're unhappy with it and then claiming they're not real fans. It's like, I'm a real fan of Star Trek. Who's going to try to say I'm not a fan of Star Trek? I'm a real fan of Star Wars as well, but Star Wars is. Sometimes I think the Star Wars franchise is a lot worse off than the Star Trek franchise. I think the Star Trek franchise could come back very, very well if they know where to do the storyline and get some writers. Pay for some writers that can actually. And no offense to the writers of the show, but I mean, come on, guys. They want to get the story writers that are the lowest bidder or something. It's like, no. Writers really need to work at it because writing is really the most important thing of anything in a video game or a movie. Alright, sorry about this little run on here, but if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Leave any comments you may have. I'm sure a lot of you may have a lot of feelings on Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. I feel like they just need to quit doing this. They need to quit doing Star Trek for a while. You know, they just need to quit doing this to these franchises. They're beating a dead horse with these franchises, and it's just tiresome to see it. But hopefully this summer we're going to get a decent He-Man movie, and things will be looking up, hopefully. Well, I will see you guys next video then. Yeah, I look forward to seeing the comments about what you feel of Star Trek and stuff. I know in the past I had really expressed I liked Star Trek. Well, anyway, I'm here in Maine. I guess we're going to start having colder, really cold weather here. I guess on the weekend we're supposed to have temperatures around 6 in the single digits. And supposedly Friday night supposed to be like what? They were talking about maybe 10 below. I'm like, damn, I don't know. Yeah, darn it. Yeah, if I gotta do anything outside, I better be doing it tomorrow. Hopefully before it gets late. Yeah, because we're getting like freaking wind and cold. It's winter in Maine. I think we got a couple more months of that here in Maine, but whatever. Yeah. Well, anyway, I hope maybe you guys are in better situations because I know parts of the country are supposed to get tons of snow. I think. I don't know if we're gonna get much snow here, really. More or less cold weather, but we'll see. Yeah, because if it's too cold, we don't get snow if it's 6 degrees out. But, yeah, well, okay. All right, is the E-Man showing signing off? Yeah, the E-Man signing off. I'll see you guys later then. Bye.